What is up, everybody? Welcome to another J&T's Fresh Take. T, how you doing, man?
Hey there, folks. What's up?
And well, people, we said we were going to come back and give you our thoughts on the early 2000s movies. So we're going to start this out. This might be done in two parts because there was some good in the 2000s, but there was some bullshit. So let's start with the good because, the good is fun. And we'll go into the bad because the bad is plentiful.
Yeah.
And what I want to do for this one, because the 2000s movies, that's when we got our Hollywood went back to the trilogy idea. Good for some movies, bad for others. They went back to the superhero genre, started becoming more popular. It started in the early 2000s, becoming more popular. Got perfected toward the end of the 2000s, but started getting more popular. Some were good, some were awful. And some people say were awful, but were they really awful, or were you just mad because you didn't like Ben Affleck? Others, and then we have those movies by the Wachowskis that just didn't make no damn sense. So we're going to start with the 2000s. And what I want to do, I want to start with superhero movies because the first part of the 2000s we had some good superhero movies. Now, this starts with the X-Men was in 2000. Now, the end of the 90s actually ended off to me on a good note. We had Blade that made up for Spawn.
Yeah, boy.
So in 2000, the X-Men fans actually got X-Men, which wasn't bad for a start.
No,
so
it wasn't.
I will give Bryan Singer that. It wasn't bad.
It started off really good, actually, the movie, and then just kind of lost its way a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, and from the get-go, Bryan Singer had always said he didn't read comics. Okay, fine.
Which was a minus.
Yeah, fine. Okay, I will give you that because he was one of my favorite directors at the time. Now he's not.
Usual Suspects.
Yeah,
that was greatness.
Great movie. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll give this a chance. And for the most part, I liked it, except for one casting issue. I think we both have the same casting issue in mind.
Halle Berry.
Halle freaking Berry. God damn it. But, for the most part, I thought the casting was good because you got Patrick Stewart, who, in my opinion, is the only Xavier. Ian McKellen, great as Magneto. Just great. They had good visuals in that movie, good imagery. And we got introduced to Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. Can we go back to Halle Berry? Yeah. I just don't know why. Okay, look, I have no problem with Halle Berry. She was poorly cast in this movie, in X-Men, but
and Catwoman.
Well, obviously. But what I'm saying is, like, usually when you get that type of movie, you're coming from something that was halfway decent, or what was she coming from? Baps?
No, Swordfish. Swordfish? No, Swordfish.
Swordfish is after. That's why her and Hugh Jackman were in together.
Yeah.
The producer of X-Men put that movie together. So
it was Baps.
Yeah, it was Baps, and what's the one with the Ghetto Superstar? What is that movie?
The one where Warren Beatty was black.
Yeah, Warren Beatty was a politician, and he was seeing the light, and he just kind of Bullworth. Yeah. Bullworth was a good movie, but you wouldn't think that would. Halle Berry was kind of eye candy, and Storm really isn't that in the comics either. No. She's a strong character, and so it was just a weird decision. It should have been. We all know it should have been Angela Bassett,
especially when you see that white hair and freaking
oh my goodness. Yeah. It just makes you sore about it. But yeah, sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah. Oh, and
we'll come back to Halle Berry though, don't worry.
Yeah. And the casting of Jubilee in all three movies, and they relegate her to nothingness.
And man, it's like you're just trying to piss people off.
Yeah.
Like at that point, you're trying to piss people off, I think.
Jubilee in a movie with Wolverine, and they don't even interact.
Oh my god.
Thank you, Bryan Singer, you fucking piece of shit. Like I said, at the beginning, now I'm going to be completely honest with everybody. The X-Men movies were before we got the Batman Dark Knight series, before we got the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So at the time, we was happy with what we could get.
Yeah, we roll with them leather black suits.
Yeah, because we didn't have no choice. And we were just happy to get anything, especially as an X-Men fan. I'm not speaking for all X-Men fans, but for me as an X-Men fan, I was just happy to get something.
Right.
But if you go back and watch the movies now,
yeah, they don't hold up.
They don't hold up. Y'all will have a different viewing if you go back and watch them now and tell me they as good as you think.
Especially X1. Like there's so much stupid like plot hole crap all over that movie. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Plot holes, Wolverine not knowing Sabretooth, that don't make no sense.
It just makes no sense.
Cyclops killing Sabretooth, quote unquote.
I mean the fact that he could, I mean, there's so many whole. I made a mistake to watch like Everything Wrong With, you know, and they just point out everything, and it's like it's real stuff. It's just like, oh my gosh, that is glaringly terrible. Those decisions that they're making, yeah, and
they did all that. Now, to combat this, in 2001, we got Spider-Man, the very first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, which was awesome,
excellent.
Had its issues because they did the whole high school thing, but they had to add some characters from comic canon, like Mary Jane. Mary Jane in the comics, he don't meet Mary Jane till college, but they threw it in there just so, you know, because that's what people recognize.
Yeah. I've always had this issue with Spider-Man where it's like, why didn't he just make the web out of his body? Like, he's Spider-Man. And look, I get it. And even oh my gosh, what's his name? Stan Lee. Even Stan Lee was like, if I had to do it over again, I just had to come out of his hands, out of his arms, out of his body. Because it just made right. I mean, he's Spider-Man. He does everything that a spider can except shoot web. And it just that was always weird to me. And obviously they're going back to being more like the comics, so he's making it himself. But,
well, I think there was a reason why he wanted to show people that Peter was actually smart.
I mean, but there's 1,000 other ways he showed how smart Peter was. You know,
there really was.
Yeah, so it's just like you didn't really need to do that, but you know, it's just one of those things that always bothered me. But it's not that big a deal. So,
but the movie actually worked, even though they had.
But the movie did what Sam Raimi, what I would have wanted, and what Stan Lee initially or said he would go back and do if he could, which is have the web come out of Peter,
which I think actually worked. And as far as like people getting mad at the whole Green Goblin suit, I think for the time it actually made sense as they were trying to make it like a military weapon.
Right. I mean, what were you gonna do? Have a guy that was actually a goblin, like, and it just wasn't gonna work. It'll work now. But it wouldn't have worked in superhero movies back then. No,
because you got to remember, at the time, everybody wanted to be. Everybody thought that if you put somebody in a costume, it'll look stupid on screen. And unfortunately, the Green Goblin one, that could have went sideways quick if you would have tried to put him.
But you got the right. First of all, you got the right actor. You know, you got Willem Dafoe who killed it. So it was just like,
if you put Willem Dafoe in the kids movie, you're gonna think he's a villain. So.
Seriously, he's just perfect. And the guy was just he embodied the role. He went out and did his thing. Yeah. So, and he even played the schizophrenia. Oh, that was he played it so well. Yeah. Because like people don't know this, but Norman Osborn honestly really isn't that bad of a person until his other side comes out. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's Dr. actually Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know, he has that. He's actually a decent dude. I mean, He's a CEO. He got stressed, and they were basically trying to run him out of his own company, and he experimented on himself. He shouldn't have did it. Yeah, but he did because he was trying to save his company. Right, and that's so he wasn't. How it happened. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't a bad. It didn't come from a bad place. His ambition is he was trying to save his company, keep his company, which. People couldn't understand, you can relate to. That's why I like villains like that. Like villains that aren't just, I'm Mr. Evil Guy, Yeah, I'm evil for no reason. I mean, unless the only time you need to do something like that if it's an 80s action movie. Right. But I was like all those Spider-Man villains, they want to take their, they want to get their abilities so they can rob banks. That's like no sense. They kill me with that in Spider-Man. It's like everybody just wants to end up robbing banks. I mean, it's kind of funny. It was funny. Yeah, I mean, they went away from that, but that's how it kind of started. All the Spider-Man villains were just want to be bank robbers. That's why they did all the abilities.
I'm kind of glad that like they actually when they retconned some of that stuff, they actually made it make sense. Like for instance, Matt Gargan was trying to beat cancer, so that's why he was robbing banks. Like Shaka was trying to save his daughter, that's why he was robbing banks. But the rest of
same thing with Sandman.
Yeah, but the rest of them dudes.
yeah.
Come on, dude.
Yeah.
And that was the hilarity of that. Now. Yeah, we move on around to X2. Now X2 is the one that pissed me off the most because they destroyed Wolverine's origin in that. They destroyed Lady Deathstrike. They destroyed God Loves Man Kills. That's the one that made me mad. It's not X3. Oh no,
and people like that
one
X2. Better.
It's
people
X2.
Like that. People talk about that like that's the best one out of it. It is, I guess, it is the best of the three. The that original trilogy.
Visually,
that's not saying a whole lot. But...
Yeah, because that's the one where the story goes wrong.
Yeah,
in my opinion, because now you made it where Wolverine volunteered for the program, which he never did. No. You bring in the Phoenix for no damn reason. You take one of the better stories one of the better Chris Claremont stories, God Loves Man Kills, and you make it a Wolverine story.
Yeah.
That's when they went to the whole, I'm sorry, but the X-Men movies have never felt like X-Men. They felt like
that's the thing though. That's
everybody else.
That's what happened with these movies. It's just like, oh, everybody loves Hugh Jackman. Let's make the movies about Wolverine. And that's what happened. And the same thing happened with Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody loves Jennifer Lawrence now, so let's make this blue chick who is it's just kind of an assassin
spy,
not a spy assassin that's not really a leader
at all,
doesn't really have any real great powers or anything. Mm-hmm. She could turn into shit, and it's just like okay, now
she usually uses a gun.
Right, she's a spy. She's a spy assassin, and it's just like they turn her into like this big character because of the actor. And that's what they did with Hugh Jackman. It's like, oh, he's a big actor. Everybody fell in love with him after that first movie, and now we got to make all the movies about Wolverine.
And that kind of upset me. Now, don't get me wrong. Hugh Jackman is the main reason why most of those X-Men movies got watched.
Right? They wouldn't have worked without him. So it's a good thing everybody did like him. So
yeah. But the problem was, and I will challenge anybody who thinks that every last one of these X-Men movies are just better than anything else to how they feel as an actual X-Men movie, because they're not X-Men movies. Yeah. They are this character and the rest of those mutants.
I mean, they're well produced, well shot movies,
but story-wise,
but they're not great X-Men movies.
No.
At all.
No. So continuing on our superhero journey in the early 2000s. 2000, that was 2003. 2005 gave us Christopher Nolan's entry into the world of superhero shenanigans.
We're not going chronologically here. You're just throwing stuff out, right?
We're just throwing stuff out. I'm not going chronologically because no, hell no. So
too hard.
2005, we get introduced to Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins in his whole Dark Knight. Christian Bale, Michael Caine, I will cry every movie.
Resurrecting the franchise from the abyss.
Yeah, from the abyss of what Joel Schumacher thought was cool.
Schumacher.
Yeah. So, all right, 2000. And I will tell you this: I enjoyed that movie because he used pretty much every actor in his stable that he likes to get in it for his movies, and it worked beautifully. Like that first, I actually like the Batman Begins because I thought they did an excellent job of making it more realistic, so to speak. Yeah. Like if
they grounded Batman, you got to see where he came from. You really got to see his character evolve. So yeah,
and you spend a lot of time with Liam Neeson, which I actually enjoyed. And I'm not going to call him a bad thing. I'm going to call him Liam Neeson because that's who he is. Batman did not fight Ra's al Ghul. Batman fought Liam Neeson.
And I'm right.
But yeah, I thought it was well shot, well done. Cillian Murphy did a great job as a Scarecrow. They did an excellent job.
I love what they did with Scarecrow. Yeah,
But I will say this: he is responsible for King Joffrey.
Oh yeah, for real.
If you don't know what we're talking about, I think his name is Jack Gleason. He's actually in Batman Begins. He's the little kid in Batman Begins, and there was Batman a meme going around that Batman should have killed him because he becomes Prince Joffrey for Game of Thrones. So, that movie was actually great. A great film. Now, continuing on,
it had one flaw.
What was that flaw?
Rachel Dawes.
Oh, Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes. Yeah, Katie Holmes. Was definitely the weak point. Sorry, Katie. I like you and other stuff, but
I
not a good Rachel Dawes.
Can we say she was written weird?
Yeah, she was definitely written weird.
Yeah, because it just.
I don't know. It wasn't all her fault. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think. But she ain't helped.
Kind of shoehorned in.
Yeah,
she looked kind of lost, and
she didn't help the proceed.
Maggie, if she would have been in from the beginning, it would have been great.
Yeah, I think she was, but then I didn't like what they did. We'll get to that. But
yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah, like I said, for a first movie, and this one, I think, and I will say this: I think the Batman Begins movie is where we get that shift in, like, hold on. Wait a minute, these movies can be good. They ain't gotta be, you can actually pay attention and give the character.
It don't have to be campy.
And that is when I went back and looked at freaking those X-Men movies, and I'm like, okay. These ain't
Batman. There was this thing where Batman made you reevaluate the superhero movie. After Batman Begins, everything changed. It was kind of like with the Bond films, after Daniel Craig showed up and got all gritty and was, doing his thing. People started reevaluating Pierce Brosnan's Bond movies, and which I felt like it was a sad thing because I like the campy stuff.
Yeah, well, because it's hard to take like a Bond movie seriously because you know that it's unrealistic because no billionaire would waste his time doing that crap.
Yeah.
They already rule the world. Why would they ruin it by pissing off a CIA MI6? Why would they do that?
Right. and the guy is virtually indestructible.
and he's virtually Quagmire from Family Guy, where he's impervious to all diseases.
Yeah, he's I mean, even in the Daniel Craig movie, he literally died on screen and came back. Like that's literal. That's not even
BSing. So I mean, and then we had
how powerful he is.
And this is when our heart fell for the Superman fans.
No, I was in such denial about this movie,
dude. Because I'm sitting there like, okay, we getting a Superman. I'm like, and I'm from the trailers. I'm like, this might actually be good because I'm actually feeling Brandon Routh. He looks the part. I'm like, this might actually be good.
Looked the part.
Yeah, I got my ticket. I was all happy. Halfway through that mug, I wanted to walk the hell out.
Oh man, I was not. Go ahead.
Y'all can sit up and get mad at Brett Ratner all you want. For Last Stand, it was better than Superman Returns.
It definitely was.
I'm sorry, that plot was stupid. It
was 100 times more entertaining.
It got so bad. Cal Penn, who's in Superman Returns, have made fun of that movie for 3 years straight. He was making fun of the plot of that movie. And everything
it made no sense. It's like, okay, this is your plot in a nutshell. Lex Luthor comes up with this idea of stealing the crystals from Superman's Fortress of Solitude because they create land masses, but that abysmal land mass, you're gonna create land masses, destroy current ones, and create new ones, and he's gonna have land where people have to come to him and buy. And it's like nobody wants to live on that shit. It's the most awful, unlivable, barren land.
Real estate scam.
Yeah, and another real estate scam. Really? Yeah. That's what we got after 30 years. That's what the best we can come up with.
No Brainiac. Real estate scam.
Yeah, no Brainiac. I'm like, because I remember, thinking about all that, and then you had the Tim Burton stuff before that, Tim Burton's Superman, and so you had all these ideas. You heard about all this stuff lying around with the Brainiac and things like that, and I'm like, there's definitely gonna do that. No, we're gonna go back to make this. We're gonna go back and make a sequel to Superman 2 from 19. What was that? 70? No, it was probably 80.
Yeah, I think
1980
it was 81 or something like that.
80, 81. We're gonna go back and make a sequel to that. And make it as joy, like, you know how different audiences are.
Yeah,
like, you can't do that.
This is a year removed from Batman Begins.
Yeah, a year after Batman Begins, and I'm taking my brothers and sisters. They were still little at the time. I'm all excited and hyped up, and they were in that bitch sleep. It was so boring. And I'm like, oh man, what did you guys think? I don't know. I was dreaming about something else. Because it was so boring. And I'm like, I was in denial about that movie because I'm such a Superman like fanboy. Like Superman is my superhero. And so I was in denial about that movie because I love Brandon Routh. I thought he was perfect.
Yeah, Brandon Routh is the reason why I'm like, I didn't want to hate on the movie, but that goddamn ending.
Yeah, I mean, the ending, like the plot, the script, they gave him nothing to do. He stood around and was a creeper the whole movie. It's just like, what is? Why did you make Superman a deadbeat dad creeper?
Yeah. Okay. So let me get this straight. Superman's gonna fly into space to creep on his son. What?
What?
I'm like, okay.
It sucks because there were some like interesting ideas in there. Him flying up into space, listening to everything. I love that stuff. Like,
yeah, but when you find out what he was listening for, like, okay, let me get this straight. All this death and destruction. Oh man, my kid. What?
The best scene in the movie is in the first 30 minutes.
Yep,
that is not good. You can't top. Good.
And then you have to wait for the end.
And you have to wait. There's barely nothing going on for the middle of the movie, and then you like wait for the end, and it's the most ridiculous crap I've ever seen. Superman lifting kryptonite planets. It's like, what? What is this?
After he got shanked by kryptonite,
after he got shanked and almost died, he's gonna lift up an entire continent of kryptonite. Get out of here.
He still has the strength to lift up an island of kryptonite and throw it into space.
Yeah,
and falls.
And then he gets tired. He throws it, and then he's like, oh.
And then what? He falls back to Jesus style, of course. Falls back to Earth.
Oh my god!
With a chunk of that kryptonite shank sticking out his side.
Man, it was just awful. Awful.
And I actually stayed in the movie for that.
Can somebody tell me what Lex Luthor and his 5 guys were gonna do if the military showed up?
Yeah.
they blew that stupid rock off the planet. Like, we didn't need Superman to go out there and handle that.
Yeah, we just needed
the freaking military could have flew over there with paratroopers and ended that in 5 minutes.
I mean, come on, man. Especially with how stuff is now, drone that bitch and call it a day.
Right. You wouldn't have to send anybody. Like, it made no sense. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I was so upset, man.
I was hurt from the bottom of my heart. I was hurt. But
it's like before that, we're reeling from these awful Star Wars prequels. We're just reeling from those already. So you're just destroying all my little childhood.
Yeah, I can't wait.
In this decade.
We're getting in on those next.
We'll get in, yeah. But it's just like, it's just too much. I can't deal with this.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as bad if Batman Begins did not. I feel if Batman Begins had not came out in 2005, it wouldn't have been as bad.
Yeah. As bad. It still would have been stupid. The movie was boring as hell. It was just long, boring. What's the word I'm looking for? It was very arrogant and like, no, that's not the word. It was what's the word? It's like when they're full of themselves and it's just like
pompous.
It was very pompous. Yeah, it's just like, I'm a orator filmmaker, and it was just like it was beautifully shot, but it was boring. Well, it's like, this is Superman. We want to see him flying and blowing stuff up, and it was just so lame.
And on top of that, now I will blame WB for this because we should have never found out what Tim Burton had in store. If we would have never found that out, then because I ain't gonna lie, I was with you. I was going in expecting Brainiac. I was expecting, the stuff that he was talking about doing.
But I was expecting Dark Side. I was expecting. I was really expecting to see Doomsday.
Yeah,
somewhere. But
nope. Now I will say this. And I did skip a couple movies because I'm going back to those. But hold
on, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
This is the idea I thought of, like, because the whole 5-year thing. Where has he been for 5 years?
Oh yeah.
You know what would have made that cooler? They start the movie and he gets killed by Doomsday, and he's dead for 5 years. Oh, that would have been way cooler. Right. That would have been way better. But oh well.
Yeah, I mean,
and Brandon Routh would have been the man still.
And I kind of hate that they tried to blame that, tried to ruin his career off that. Because I'm like, dude, the guy's a good actor.
And then to do with him, that was a terrible script.
Yeah, that was not his fault.
Terrible plot.
Yeah. But if you notice,
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
if you notice, nobody blamed Bryan Singer for that.
That's like, how can you not bring? That's all on him. He left X-Men to do that. Like, that's why I had so much confidence. I was like, man, he left X-Men. He was on fire with that. I mean, like we said, they weren't, to us, they weren't the best X-Men movies, but everybody loved them. Like,
they were making money.
Really comic book fans, they were making money hand over fist. People loved those movies, and he walked away from that to do Superman. I'm like, Superman finna be disgusting. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was so much,
And then you watched the.
Yeah. Fell asleep.
Now we go into people. I don't know why people hate Brett Ratner. He's not as bad as people try to make him out to be. Yes, he can be a little arrogant in interviews, but I don't hate his movies. I just don't.
No.
Now I'm not expecting Shakespeare from this guy either. I ain't expecting Oscar-worthy performances either. I know what I'm getting myself into.
Rush Hour was good, good trilogy.
Yeah, Rush Hour was not bad, and I'm like, people like to blame him for stuff, and I'm just sitting there looking. I'm like, yeah, but you give other directors a pass. So he
didn't write the movie. He didn't. He wasn't. There was the same producers.
Yeah. Now this is the part. Now this is the part where I get mad because people love to say that, but I'm like, dude, you do realize he had no choice in doing what they had to do because X-Men 2 leaves on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it leaves on Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like, what was he supposed to do? Just leave that alone?
Yeah, I mean, like, they left it with the cliffhanger, and I keep telling people, I'm like, dude, you cannot do the Phoenix without the Dark Phoenix saga without doing the Phoenix saga first, and that is not how the Phoenix happens. She does not manifest that. That is not a manifestation of her powers. That is a cosmic being.
Yeah, she comes out of space. She comes from the skies, the heavens.
It has a purpose. Like the Phoenix Force in the comic has a purpose. That purpose is. It is responsible for keeping balance in the universe, aka if it's time for a planet to go, she destroys it and rebirths another planet. That's the whole purpose. So she, as much as people love to, as much as these producers, and because I'm not having any faith for this X-Men, this upcoming X-Men Supernova movie that they talking about, which is doing the Dark Phoenix saga. Notice I said Dark Phoenix, not Phoenix.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix.
You can't go dark without doing, but that's neither here nor there. But
Marvel would have. It's like the X-Men movies. They're groomed on this semi-realism, the semi-grit, and it's just like they won't touch that more, fantastical stuff, where Marvel would,
that makes a better story. Look, I know it sounds ridiculous to do the space side, but you know what? The space side, if you do it, actually makes more sense than trying to make it realistic. Just saying.
It just, after what was the last X-Men movie called? X-Men
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. After X-Men Apocalypse, right? You just throw realism out the damn window. That's done. That's like, you can forget about that. Like, after the crazy stuff we seen in there, and like Apocalypse walking around coming up with new powers every scene and shit. Like this is what is his powers?
This is what upsets me about like the Fox side, where people be giving Fox ridiculous praise. I'm like, let me tell you something. if you can't clearly understand your villain's abilities in a superhero movie, and
you got
I
to
know
define them. You have to clearly define them.
Yeah, and Apocalypse in the Marvel universe, whether you want to believe it or not, he is a top tier villain in the Marvel universe. People do not mess with Apocalypse when he's awoken because he is too damn powerful. He ain't some little. He's not some little, backdoor villain that we can beat him in one film. No, you need build up to him.
I like Quicksilver, but Quicksilver ain't doing nothing with no damn Apocalypse. No, he's not getting no licks in. No, are you serious?
He's a support character at best. So
you know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
And as much as you might love Jean ain't fighting no Apocalypse. She done tried. No. She done got destroyed.
Yeah, she ain't doing nothing with Apocalypse either.
Yeah, they have to. I'm gonna have to do a separate.
Well, I mean, that's why they threw the Phoenix at him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a separate podcast explaining Apocalypse because nobody, even movie critics that love to swear they know everything about comics, don't even know anything about Apocalypse. So I'm gonna have to do that as separate. But needless to say,
these guys.
Yeah, needless to say, X-Men: Last Stand was not entirely Brett Ratner's fault. Was it a good? I think it was a good movie for what it was, but at the same time, it was part of what Bryan Singer and that production team had already set up. So they were.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch, and dickhead. I think that's Brett Ratner. I think there's lines here and there he threw in there. It's definitely felt like him, but I mean, they had their story already when he showed up. So.
He was just the guy.
Producers were all still there. All the guys were still there.
Yeah, they needed a director, and he was free.
Right, he's just a foreman on site. He wasn't a creative designer. He was a foreman on site.
Yeah. So I look, and neither that being said, I'm like, you know what? In hindsight, I go back and I watch X-Men Last Stand. I'm like, it's really not that bad.
No, I watch it. It's a guilty pleasure. I enjoy it. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's to the point. It's not long, so it's to the point. So I mean,
and there's a lot of action in it. That's for damn sure. There's a lot of stuff happening.
You do not skip on the action. So you will not be bored. You will not go to sleep in there if you're not already tired.
Yeah,
because it keeps a good clip. It keeps a good pace. So that's being that. But that's why I get mad at this whole false equivalency praise that we give to certain directors and then bash other ones when actually they had to go off what the previous director did and he ain't the best that you think he is anyway. Right. That being said, we come to 2008 and Robert Downey Jr. has reinvented himself.
He pulled himself up off the mat.
Yep, he is. And let's be honest, that was perfect casting in him as Tony Stark.
Perfect. I mean, there's nobody else. I couldn't think of one other actor, especially at the time, and even right now, who should have been Tony Stark. It was that, it's like, Christopher Reeve was meant to be Superman. Yeah. He was meant to be Tony Stark's. I know I'm forgetting somebody here that just was meant to be.
Wesley Snipes was meant to be Blade.
Wesley Snipes was meant to be Blade. There's nobody else.
Yeah,
that could have been him. There's just those roles out there where that guy was meant to be. Obviously, Heath Ledger was meant to be Joker, and so was oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. Jack Nicholson. He was born to be Joker. So it's just one of those things.
And being honest, I'm going to say, because let's be real, like Robert Downey Jr. did all that mess. He was an alcoholic. He was.
This is all real life experiences, bro.
He did all that except for building stuff. Like, he didn't do that part, but he did all that. I mean, I'm not trying to start no. It's highly documented that he did that. That was in his past, but he was still a good actor. But he just did all that stuff. So when Marvel went again, I'm like, dude, that's perfect because that's basically what Tony Stark is. He's a womanizing alcoholic billionaire that's actually everybody want to hang with, which is Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, pretty much.
In a nutshell, everybody want to hang with him, even though he was out there off the chain back in the 80s and 90s when he was out there acting a fool. Yeah. So
He was in a movie with Blade, and I liked him in that too.
Yeah, U.S.
That was kind of the last time I saw him.
Yeah, U.S. Marshals. Because I think that's
U.S. Marshals.
That's before he went to jail.
Yeah, people forget about that one. Yeah,
yeah, he did serve time, but
yes, he did.
He came back and like this when he did this, I'm like, dude, this is when Marvel, like, okay, they took their B-list comics and made them A-list.
Yeah.
This was the start of that. Iron Man was done beautifully well, and the casting was on point. And I think everybody loved it. Then a couple months later, in 2008, we get Incredible Hulk.
Yep.
My favorite Hulk movie. Didn't really care for Ed Norton, but I do love myself some Liv Tyler. So I wound up enjoying.
See, I'm kind of like, I'm vice versa. Well, I'm a little biased when it comes to Betty because I have this thing for this lady called her name is Jennifer Connelly. So I have this thing for her, and she was definitely a bright spot in the original Hulk movie.
No, she was.
I believed her more as a scientist.
Yeah, she was the only bright spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I just believe her more as a scientist. I never believed Liv Tyler as a scientist.
Oh,
so that was always standing out to me. She's just kind of this, soft-spoken, pretty girl, and I just never believed her in that role. But other than that, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Can I be honest? I wasn't looking at Liv Tyler for a side. I was like, it was strictly.
That scene bothered me. The scene where they were about to get it on, and it's just like, wait a minute, he should be able to have relations.
I hated that.
He only turns when he gets angry, not when he gets excited. What the hell was that? That was just a movie being Puritanish,
That was
wanting to have a sex scene or whatever.
That was bad writing because everybody knew that. I mean, like, come on, dude.
I'm sitting like, wait, what? He's not getting angry. He's like, why is he getting? Yeah, why is this a problem? He's not getting angry, so.
Yeah, you know something? I know
that's the only thing that triggers it. The emotion of anger is what triggers the Hulk. Not my heart's beating fat. That's bullcrap. That's not what triggers Hulk.
Let me put it to you like
that
this.
Bothered me, but...
Let me put it to you like this, people. Do not leave your woman around Luke Cage.
Yeah. Well, Tim Roth was cartoonish.
I think he was serviceable though.
Yeah.
But when I think about
it's just at the end, you got CG monster fighting CG monster, and that totally took me out of the movie. It was just like
that took you out of the movie.
It's hard to.
I actually kind of
it was good action. But what I'm saying is that it was good action. It was definitely way better than him fighting a giant poodle or some dumb shit. That was just, what were you thinking? But no, I just meant like, it was cool to see. But what I'm saying is like the stakes were gone.
Oh yeah.
For me, when you see a CG monster fighting a CG monster, you know what I'm saying?
I can see that. I can see that. I enjoyed it because I liked how they made the Abomination look. And I think it actually.
It was. You did great.
The only problem I had was that Tim Roth wouldn't do a Russian accent. You smarmy bastard.
Yeah. And I know he can.
Yeah, because he's done it before. I've seen movies where he did it before. So I'm like, don't sit there and tell me.
Talented dude.
So yeah. That being said, but
I think we got a delay. No. There's one thing though. I didn't really realize that until recently. Superman, Man of Steel gets a lot of flack for its final scene, the neck break.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? The more I think about that, I was a little on the fence about it. Mm-hmm. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, that was ballsy. Because if you think about it, like, that was his only choice. Because Zod was not going to stop.
Yeah, he was.
He was not. You're not going to put him in some crystal prison or no dumb shit. This Zod, what I'm saying? He was not going to stop. And I look at that, and then I look at, like, we were talking about Incredible Hulk. Mm. And I just felt like that was such a cop-out ending. Like, first of all, you got two blunt objects running up against each other, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just wrecking everything. There was gonna be no stop in either one of these guys. They were just gonna fight. And, you know, if you think of it realistically, they're gonna fight and just keep fighting until everything around them is destroyed, and maybe they get tired and you know, dissolve into, you know, their human forms, whatever. But he got a choke in on him, and you know, Abomination's just gonna lay there and take a nap. Like that always bothered me, just because she said no. Okay, she says no. Abomination gets up and wrecks everybody.
Yeah,
it's just basically. That always just bothered me. But you know, well, you know, it's just, yeah. Go ahead.
The way they did that fight, because that was one of the things I was like, the way they did that fight, I didn't see like another way they could have did it unless they would have did. See, I wouldn't have did it in Harlem. I just wouldn't have did it in Harlem. But I guess they were trying to make.
I would had it in a situation where they got his powers out of him. They took it out of him. You know what I'm saying? They took the Abomination out of Bronski. Like that would have been, other than killing him, and obviously they weren't going to do that.
Yeah.
That would be the only way for me, because he choked them out like that. It just didn't seem like the right ending to that fight. You know what I'm saying?
No, it didn't. I mean,
like he chokes them out because this dude was like, he was tapping Hulk's ass. You know, for most of that fight.
Yeah, until he tried to kill Betty when that helicopter crashed. No, when you tried to do that, that's when he messed up.
He kind of came back, and I love that. Like he got like that was good stuff. And he started choking him and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is, you know, you got to finish him though. Again, that would have been too much for that movie at the time. So I get it, but I just think they should have ended it a different way. They shot some kind of serum into him or something.
To actually get him to turn back into because I think that's. But I will say this: I did not read the Incredible Hulk comics growing up, so I don't know how his fights with Abomination ever ended. So.
Yeah, in comics, that's how they're going to end. It's just that, you know, you said it when you're watching a movie, you said it in a real world. Yeah. You got to come up with something better than, oh, he choked him and he fell asleep. You know, like.
Yeah, I agree, because now that I think about it, that was stupid. Fight was good, but that part was stupid.
It was a great fight. Yeah, it was an awesome fight.
Yeah, but that part, it was actually kind of freaking dumb now I think about
it. It's kind of a nitpick. It just, you know, one of the things that stood out to me in that movie.
Yeah.
But I do wish that they had your boy instead of Ed Norton.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I wish they would have had him earlier.
Yeah, because
oh well.
Yeah, it is what it is. Now I'm gonna go back in time a little bit, because we did reach 2008, and the rest of the stuff that I want to talk about doesn't happen until after 10. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. Go back a few more years, back into the early 2000s. Now we had Fox still had a couple movies under up under their banner. Now I will say this: I liked these movies. I liked two of these movies. One of them, well, three of them. I liked the first Daredevil. Well, I liked Daredevil because there was only one Daredevil movie. I liked Daredevil. There were parts of it I didn't like because I thought the casting was off. But on the whole, I didn't think it was as bad as people were making it out to be.
No, it kind of gets retro. What do you call it? There's some revisionist stuff going on because of who Ben Affleck was, especially at the time.
Yeah.
The whole Bennifer thing, I think, you know,
that pissed people off because he was all over everywhere, and we were just tired of that.
Yeah, people were just annoyed with him. Yeah. I think it was some of his better early acting because, you know, obviously he was definitely not a great actor in his earlier career, but I felt like he was Matt Murdock for sure. Yeah. And I liked him as Matt Murdock. I thought he played that expertly. Now there were things around the movie like the CG.
Oh, that was horrible.
Terrible CG in the movie. It still had that early 2000s kind of cheese to it as far as comic book hero movies go. It had that, and that Elektra stuff was just awful. It was just
the
whole, the basketball scene What's with the basketball scenes in these early comic book movies in the 2000s? Because you got one of those in Catwoman too.
Yeah,
and it was just awful.
I don't know. I
What
really
was
don't
that?
know. I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, it was
honestly,
bad.
I guess that's how they try to equate like playground love or what. I don't know, man. I can't even make an excuse for that. But
they never really sold why Elektra was mad at him and wanted to fight him.
Never.
That didn't come across good at all. Like,
yeah,
you know. So that was that. But I thought he was a really good Daredevil. I liked, him as Daredevil. I liked when he suited up for sure. I liked him as Matt Murdock as well. It was just those weird, like, a Bullseye played by Colin Farrell.
He had funny lines, but I just
it just it felt like
he didn't feel
like some actors were in different movies. You know what I'm saying? The tone was off.
Yeah, because and I will say this. There was a lot of people who were hating on Michael Clark Duncan, but at the time,
Wilson Fisk. Oh, come on,
dude. He was a boss in that.
He was a boss. He was great in the movie. So
I didn't like what they did with his origin when they tried to say he was
right.
I didn't like that.
No,
but I'm gonna tell you like this right here. At the time, Michael Clark Duncan at the time was because he's passed on now, but he is a very large individual.
Yes,
He was large. He didn't even have to gain weight, but he went on and gained weight.
He did it. Yeah, he went and did it himself.
But I will tell you,
he wanted to have the belly. He didn't want to be, because he was way more chiseled.
Yeah.
At the time, and he wanted to make sure he had everything that
he needed for the role.
Right?
But I will tell you this: there is no way in hell you're gonna sit and tell me Ben Affleck's gonna beat Michael Clark Duncan. Not in no brawl.
No.
Nope. I'm sorry, but
not believing it.
Not believing it. But like I said, I did like Michael Clark Duncan in the role because, like, dude, he felt like if you've ever read not a Daredevil comic, but I want to say like a Spider-Man or like a Wolverine comic where Kingpin shows up. Kingpin is intimidating as hell.
Yeah,
and he was intimidating in that movie.
Yeah, I mean
the way he carried himself, the way when he showed up, you see him with that cane. I'm like, dude, man, don't mess with this dude.
You could have found some big powerlifter guy, but he wouldn't have been able to act the part,
No, and Michael Clark Duncan can act, and
right
to me, he's one of the bright spots of that movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people gave that movie flack, but I thought it was okay. I thought it wasn't bad for an attempt.
Yeah, I just felt like. Who was it? Ryan Johnson?
Mark Johnson.
Mark Johnson. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, it just had, like I said, it was tonally off.
Yeah.
In certain places, like the origin stuff, like I thought all that was well done. Like with his dad, you cared, but it just then it had the cheesy stuff going on. It's just like. With what's his name? Cypher. It was the news reporter and
Ben Hur.
Yeah. So you had that, and it's just like tonally, it just was off here and there. It just didn't have a consistent tone, unfortunately.
Now I will say this: I thought that while there was some stuff to like I did like Foggy in this, but Daredevil was always one of those shows I thought should have been on TV because you need to get into the relationships of the character more. And Daredevil is one of those characters I truly believe that he was better suited for TV, which I'm kind of glad that they went the Netflix route with him when they got Marvel got it back. Now fast forward to the next year from that, and that's when we get Thomas Jane's The Punisher. I like this movie, despite the flack that it gets from certain fans who wanted the Warren Ellis Punisher. I thought Thomas Jane acted his ass off in this movie.
Yeah,
I thought
I needed one thing though, man. I needed it to not be in Tampa, Florida. Yeah, like I needed that movie to be in New York City.
Wasn't at the time the reason why they did it because they couldn't get any permits in New York? That's why they had to move.
Yeah, the fund was too expensive.
Yeah,
they could have shot, in Toronto though.
Oh, okay.
Toronto for New York. A lot of people were doing that, and
is that
I mean,
that now?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
way cheaper. The tax and whatnot.
Okay.
A lot of tax incentives for filming in Toronto. And then same thing with Tampa. Tampa, was like I lived in Tampa at the time, so it was very surreal for me being able to see those guys out there doing their thing. I know that little bridge where he had that little fight with
Harry Hick.
Harry Hick. Yeah, I know it. I used to cross that bridge almost twice a day, so I know that whole area, and that's another thing that took me out of it because I know all those sites and stuff. So we talked about this before. It's just like, the nightclub scene at the end. Ain't no damn nightclub, man. That's the damn art museum. That's downtown, the art museum. It's just like, I know that place. It was just so weird. So it took me out of the movie where it wouldn't affect somebody who wasn't from the area and stuff. So maybe that was a lot of the reason. And I didn't really care for John Travolta as the villain. So
yeah. I think that they should have went with Olivia being the main villain instead of like it was in the comic. Because in the comic, Olivia was the main villain. It wasn't John Travolta's character.
They chopped it up way too much. Was it R rating? I can't remember.
It wasn't R rated. There was the R rating came in the when it came to DVD.
Okay, so it was a PG.
It was a PG-13 movie in theater.
PG-13. Well, there's a big problem there. Yeah. Can't have a Punisher movie with PG-13, first of all.
But I will say this: that I don't know how they got away with it because they still had some of them scenes.
It was still some brutal stuff, especially at the end.
But that was still in there when he stabbed dude in the mouth and in the ass.
Yeah,
that was still in there.
Yeah, that was still there.
I'm like, okay, because when
how'd you get PG-13 on this stuff?
When I got the rated R, the only thing they did in the rated R, it was like somebody got they just got like a hand cut, they got an arm cut off, and there was something else that happened that was kind of a little bit gory, but that was it. I'm like, the rest of that stuff was actually in the theater, which I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean, I just wish they cut his partner all out in the movie, which was integral to a better plot, So,
and the director did go on and say like he wish he wouldn't have did that, but that's neither here nor there because it was in the like I said, it was on the DVD and people could see it. It was just way better. I'm like, dude, you should really shouldn't have.
Every time I saw that Tampa skyline, I was just like, you're taking me out of it. You're taking me out.
I do agree with you because like because I used to live in Atlanta, so there are scenes in like the Spider-Man Homecoming and Captain America Civil War. I'm like, y'all is not in no damn Vienna. That's underground.
And I mean, they shot a lot of that in Tampa. It was I think there was some stuff in St. Pete, which was across the bay, but like
most of it,
I know almost all those areas. That took me out. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of took me out of the movie.
But let me ask you
this: their apartment building. Mm-hmm. I know that's southwest of downtown. I see that. You can see that building when you're downtown. You can almost see it from that damn art museum. You know what I'm saying? Like, or excuse me, the club. The the building they came out when he walked up to the cops and stuff. Oh, like my ex used to work there. My ex used to work there as the bank building.
Yeah, they just like making a federal building. Yeah,
yeah. It's like, come on,
it looked like a bank, man. It like SunTrust.
Yeah, it was a bank building. It was a federal. I forgot which name it was, but like it just took me out of it. So I'm not the fairest one to judge it. But yeah, a lot of the Punisher stuff. Jane was perfect as Punisher. Yeah.
I mean,
I could have done without the comic relief neighbors. Or them being so comic relief.
Them two comedians.
Yeah, Bumbo.
Yeah,
and actually,
funny though. Dude's stand up is hilarious. I love that guy.
Yeah, yeah, he's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think I could have edited it to be a tighter movie, more grittier movie. But it was good. It was good for what it was, for sure.
Yeah, for what it was actually good. And I'm like, I hate that, like, we never got another chance to see Thomas Jane because I would love to see Thomas Jane.
Yeah.
Now, John, don't get me no disrespect to John Bernthal. He's great in the
He's excellent.
But I would just love to see Thomas Jane get one more crack at it. But
yeah,
I understand.
I would love to see him in that show.
Yeah.
But we got Bernthal now, so I mean, he was great, obviously. So I'm over it, but I still feel bad a little bit because I don't think Thomas Jane got the Punisher movie he deserved.
Yeah, I think he would have, because to me, he felt like it. To me, it felt like he got down what Frank was. He was
he definitely was Frank Castle.
He was somebody that was hurting, and they didn't. Nobody did what they were supposed to. Yeah. They knew who did it. They knew who, and they did nothing about it.
They did nothing about it.
And they thought he was just gonna sit there and let it happen. Like, you knew this dude was gonna just sit back and I'm like, y'all stupid. So y'all stupid, man. Yeah. So it was just one of those. Now we get to Fantastic Four. Now this is gonna be,
oh my goodness.
Now I will say this.
I try to get these movies out of my head, man. I try to forget about
this is probably the last bad one that I have, because here's my problem with this one. The first one was not that bad. Like,
no, it actually got Fantastic Four down pretty well.
Yeah,
like,
in the
the first one.
Yeah, the second one, that was cash grab.
It was a little rushed, you know. Some of the stuff was a little rushed, went by a little quick.
Fox saw dollar signs.
Yeah, they were trying to get people in and out of there. Yeah, the shorter you can make the movie, and the more play times you get.
And I'm sorry, Rise of Silver Surfer just I feel bad because Silver Surfer is a badass character.
He's dope.
They just Silver Surfer needs his own movie, but
like Silver Surfer was still pretty interesting. I still liked him in the movie. I still liked the stuff with him.
It was just,
but everything else around it was just awful.
But the first one actually worked, in my opinion. I mean, they had to change some stuff, but come on, people, you knew they was gonna change some stuff.
It was pretty true to like I people hate on it, but it was pretty true to the Fantastic Four. I knew.
Yeah, I mean. That's it is what it is. Now I'm gonna talk about, to end this first half, this part one off. I'm gonna talk about some good stuff that came from the early 2000s, and that launched some bad stuff.
Oh no,
the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh boy,
I love that trilogy.
Greatness,
but Hollywood likes to copy stuff. And what Peter Jackson did was he filmed it all back to back, and that was good. And
it saved millions of dollars doing that.
Yeah, he did, because I think they only had to pay.
Hollywood loves when you can save some money.
Yeah, and so it worked. I mean, and we got a movie every December. Every December, you knew there was gonna be a Lord of the Rings movie, and you knew it was gonna be on point. So, and they left you on
2001, 2002, 2003. Is that what it was?
Yep, that's what it was. And it left you on the cliffhanger, so you'd be like, okay, when the next one come out, and it got so good to the point where, like, in 2002, the theaters would show The Fellowship right before Two Towers, so people could go right back into it. And in 2003, they showed all three of them. It was like they made it into an event. Now, the reason why I say it was a good movie that spawned some bad stuff, so they shoot it all back to back. Matrix decides they want to shoot theirs back to back.
Oh man.
And the first Matrix movie is actually good.
Amazing. Still to this day.
The second and third one, not so much.
Oh my gosh. And another set of movies I was in denial about because I was kind of fanboying.
Yeah. Now, the problem I have with the Matrix is I'm a huge anime fan, as you can probably tell by Fresh Take Anime Edition. But I'm a huge anime fan, and everything I kept seeing when the first one came out, I knew what they were trying to do.
But that Ghost in the Shell, you got all.
But I thought they did enough of it to be interesting to make it its own thing. Not Reloaded and Revolution. They didn't. They
went full on. We don't care. We're gonna take shots from these iconic animes about. We're gonna take everything.
Matter of fact, we're gonna put in some Ghost in the Shell. We're gonna put in some Appleseed. We're gonna straight up swipe a fight from Dragon Ball Z. I'm like,
and then we're gonna put out an animated film, straight up anime that's way better than either of these two sequels. That's pretty sad.
And then when Blu-ray hits, we're gonna charge y'all an exorbitant amount to get all 9 discs. But it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, you know what? I like what they did. I like what Lord of the Rings did, but it spawned that Matrix stuff. Now,
but it also put a like we were saying earlier with Batman Begins, shining a light on or putting a magnifying glass on Superman Returns. Lord of the Rings also did that to a different trilogy.
Yep,
the Star Wars prequels, and boy,
and now,
they could not hold up to the new guy on the block.
I will say this about the Star Wars trilogies: they had good elements in them. They had horrible.
I love the fact it was super original. It was
But the problem was, and I don't think too many people would disagree, it was entirely too much CG and not enough practical.
Too much CG. And then you're looking at Lord of the Rings again, which has a lot of CG itself.
But it's practical too.
Yeah, a lot of practical stuff.
And a lot of practical stuff in there. Like, that's why like people were like, why wasn't there a lot of magic? Because he went and used it. He used it subtly.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to have stuff where you'd see lasers or electrical stuff shooting out, partially because of Star Wars. He didn't want to do that, so he was just like, he's gonna go and make it more kind of the '80s style of fantasy stuff, where it was the more
Sword and Stone type movies, the blood and Sword and Sandal and the Blood and Soil movies, basically. And
it worked well.
It worked because that when you go and you see Lord of the Rings, and like coming from me, because I love Star Wars, so I ain't gonna lie, I was fanboying over like the first one and the second one. But when I went into the first one, I'm like, what? I'm like, what is this? I love Darth Maul, but what is this? Why y'all talking? What is this part? I don't give a damn about NASCAR and Star Wars. I mean,
it didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay. And you got this 14-year-old girl in love with a 9-year-old. I am weirded out. All right. I'm starting to get weirded out. But okay, I went with it. Then Attack of the Clones happened, and I'm like, well, first of all, when Attack of the Clones happened, I was like, I was happy for my boy Sam Jackson, because Sam Jackson is the man.
Right.
I was happy for him, rooting for my boy.
You thought maybe, he was going to redeem what was the Phantom Menace. You thought, all right, that was a screw up, and he's going to fix it, and this is going to be an awesome movie, Attack of the Clones. Nope. Nope.
Because the Attack of the Clones, my main problem with Attack of the Clones was that it just felt unbalanced. It just felt like an unbalanced.
No balance in the Force, you're saying?
Yeah, like the movie just felt unbalanced. The dialogue was freaking atrocious, and I'm sitting there like, okay, what? I'm like, George, you better than this.
That's what happens when you don't get Kaz in to help you write, and you have complete total control, and you finish the damn script a month before you start shooting.
Yep,
that's the kind of stuff you have.
And for all those people blaming it on Hayden Christensen,
no, it ain't his fault.
That was not his fault, dude.
Go watch other movies of Hayden Christensen and tell me he can't
act. The dude can act. Like
he can act.
To get mad at him for that was not his fault.
Right.
So
the problem was he wasn't a good enough actor to work with that horrible, horrible script, as well as a more tenured actor like Ewan McGregor or we just mentioned it earlier, Liam Neeson. Like those guys could, they could because of their presence, they could make terrible dialogue still work. Where he was a young actor, and he couldn't do what they did. So
there's only a few actors can do that though.
Right. There's not a lot of people that can do that.
Yeah.
Right. Sam Jackson, he had some horrible lines, but he's Sam Jackson them bitches, and you could, and that's why they worked.
He was the only Jedi I was waiting for him to say motherfucker.
Exactly.
You know,
he still had presence, even with that horrible dialogue delivery he had. And they would probably, another thing, guys like them would challenge George Lucas and say, "Oh, let me do it this way." Where Hayden Christensen, he's just happy to be there. There's a part of him that's just happy to be there. I'm in a Star Wars movie. I'm Darth Vader. I'm going to do whatever George Lucas wants me to do. And George Lucas is not the best at directing actors. I mean, that's no secret. I don't think that's a secret.
Everybody knows that. I mean,
right? Everybody knows that. He'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's the only problem. If you want to blame him for not being a good enough actor to fight through that stuff the way some of the other guys can, I guess you can do that. But he was a young guy. He was.
And honestly, I will say this about Hayden Christensen, despite what anybody want to say. When he did the dark side scenes, he did them well. Like,
oh yeah, he
made you think that he was actually
in
crazy
pain
and doing this.
Yeah,
because there was times when you would look at him, you're like, dude, this dude finna kill everybody. Get them kids.
Yeah.
So he did those well. It's just I keep going back to, I'm like, dude, it's not that the movies was just atrocious. It was the bad writing and the bad dialogue.
Terrible love story they try to put together.
They tried to force it. I mean, him and Natalie Portman had no chemistry
whatsoever.
I kind of blame Natalie Portman as well, because Natalie Portman, I've seen her act with other people. I kind of put some of the
honestly, before that, she wasn't that great of an actress either.
No, she was. But the thing was, I had seen her.
She was very wooden as Queen Amidala. She was very wooden.
She was wooden like a mug. But the bad thing about it was, I had seen her in other stuff, seen her do it
right
better. So I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, this ain't all this boy's fault. So that being said, but they tried to force a love story, and that's what happens when you try to force a love story with two people that have no chemistry. I'm like, they needed to hang out when they was off from set or something, because I don't believe they hung out.
And that's what a good director would do. 8 months before the movie starts shooting, all right, we're gonna go to dinners and we're gonna do this. We're gonna go on camping trips and all this kind of stuff.
Hang out.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
right.
It has to be believable.
And George Lucas, he just wanted to sit in his chair in the green screen room, and have his coffee given to him. He didn't want to go out and shoot stuff. That's why he shot all that stuff on freaking green screen stages. He didn't want to go out to where did he shoot Tatooine and stuff at?
Wasn't it Arizona?
What was that called? It was Tanzania, something like
Tanzania,
that. Yeah, it was.
Didn't they do
I think almost everything from Tatooine was in Tanzania. Because I remember those sets that kept having sandstorm. It was an awful shoot, but that helped the movie. People were miserable, and you believed them being on that crappy desert planet, because right, they didn't want to be there. That was real. That wasn't no acting. So
get the hell out of here.
That stuff. But when you're sitting in an air conditioned ass, green screen stage, and you're staring at people in blue suits with dots all over them, it's hard to get into character. It's hard to do that stuff, So I don't blame anybody. I don't blame any of the actors in those movies. And you could tell the British guys, they were really good. I thought they were really good, but the thing is, they're so good because they come from the stage. A lot of the British actors are stage actors. They're used to pretending stuff is there that's not there. You know what I'm saying? Because you're on some stage and you're pretending to be in some mansion. So they're used to that.
That's the difference between a theater actor and a movie actor. You can tell who.
And I'm not gonna say they're better, but they're better at this kind of stuff.
Yeah, at that kind of
because they're used to it.
Yeah. And it makes it more believable. They don't they know where to look, how to look.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. So, I say that because I have personal reference to that. I shot this short film, science fiction stuff, where I did some green screen, a lot of visual effects and stuff. And I had an actor. He did a lot of college community playhouse stuff, where he did it, and he was by far the best actor in the movie, because he was really good at pretending, whereas some of these other guys, you had to coax him a little bit more, you had to tell him more, this is there and this is, he would there's a scene
Minority Report, right? Where he's doing he's at that screen, he's doing all these movements and stuff. My film that's exactly like that, and he did all that stuff, and I just went in and digitally mimicked what he was doing. He took that scene over. I didn't have to say anything, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, so like I said, I understand why people have their misgivings, and I understand why some people are just fanboying because of Star Wars. So
some people fanboy, yeah. There's some people who will kill you for saying those movies aren't that good.
Yeah, I get it, I understand, but I also understand my point of view that they just horribly written. But
yeah,
that's just me. And it didn't help that you had Lord of the Rings that was basically like it differentiated from the book a little bit, but that was because each of those books in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, you could have done, if you went by the book, would have been 3 movies apiece. So I like what they did.
Yeah.
To do what they had to do, and I think they wrote they did a good job on them. So when you come from that and then you go into something with Star Wars that's not tightly written and people don't have chemistry and it's not believable. Right. I mean, one of the best things about the original trilogy was the fact that you believed all the characters. Like you believed Han Solo was an asshole, but he still got Leia. You believe that,
and a lot of that stuff bore out of the fact that, like you said, they were dealing with some extreme situations, and when you're working with props that don't work, you're working with sets that are falling apart. You're dealing with real stress, and that will help you in your when they say action, So
the motivation,
there's camaraderie in all that struggle, and you build a bond, and that's why those lead 3 actors in that movie were so tight. You could tell the chemistry was through the roof with those 3.
Through the roof. Now there's one last movie that I forgot, but I said it was going to be one more, we weren't going to have any more bad movies, but there was one more bad movie that we need to talk about because I hate this movie to the core of my being, and I will never watch this movie again. Cloud Atlas. Cloud Atlas. If you want to watch it, it's on Netflix. Knock yourself out. To hell with this movie.
Yeah, you will knock yourself out because you're gonna fall asleep.
Yeah, if you're an insomniac,
yeah. You have trouble sleeping, just throw on Cloud like this. Sit back, and you'll be out in about 25-30 minutes.
Let me tell you something, people. One of my pet peeves in any kind of storytelling format or any kind of movie or TV show is hellacious plot holes and stuff that don't add up in your own narrative. And I just feel like that movie was all over the damn place. I watched it one time. It was entirely too long and was boring to me.
The thing about the Wachowskis, man, they just, their heads got so far up their own asses. After the first Matrix, and everybody said them visual geniuses they were.
Yep.
And it's not, it's true. There's some truth to that. But, they borrowed a lot of their ideas. They took a lot of that stuff from, like you mentioned, anime. And, when it came time to, come up with their own thing and come up with their own visuals and, not so much. It didn't work out so well.
And look, because I will say this. Most of their movies, if you look at them, they are, in TV shows, they are visually stunning.
Yeah.
They really are.
The damn plots.
The plots just don't make no damn sense. They sometimes they feel like the editing feel like it's all over the place. The stuff don't add up. The dialogue be bad. It's like sometimes you're like, who gave them money?
Yeah, they still writing up to their last movie. They were still writing off the Matrix fame.
Yeah. That Jupiter's Ascending. Oh, God.
My goodness. A lot of great ideas, just too jumbled together.
Jumbled together. And the movie would have been made infinitely better if you just would have killed Sean Bean.
Yeah. Seriously, you had one job. And
you had one job, kill Sean Bean, and you didn't do it.
Everybody else knows this.
I'm like, so this is the movie that's going to keep him alive. Hell, they killed Sean Bean in Lord of the Rings.
Right. He's gone.
I'm just saying. You don't put Sean Bean in something, you don't kill him. I thought this was known. You think Sean Bean doesn't die? There was a thing on Twitter one time where Sean Bean was holding up a thing for a hashtag like "Don't let them kill me." It's a little joke, but there's a lot of times when Sean Bean's in a movie, he just dies. It is usually in a messed up way. It's kind of jacked up, but yeah, it's usually at this point it's become a joke in and of itself. Like you see him in something, you're like, okay, is he gonna die? Is it a spoiler alert to say he dies? No, it's like Willem Dafoe. It's not a spoiler alert to say he's the bad guy.
Right. You expect to see that, like you expect to see credits at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just one of those things. Now, once again, like I said, if you want to watch Cloud Atlas, knock yourself out. I'm never watching that thing again.
Nah, I can't.
I watched it one time all the way through, and I paid for it. I was in the theater. So because at the time I was still holding out hope for Halle Berry, and Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors anyway. And I'm like, yeah, you did this.
Right.
You need to fire your agent.
It's just a symptom of the way that movie was shot. There's all these different stories together. So you're shooting and you think, oh man, this is a pretty interesting story I'm in. I can imagine what they're doing in there with other actors and other scenes. And nah, bro. It ain't gonna be the same.
This ain't gonna end well for you, dude. People gonna hate you when they come out from this. But and that's my part one of this, because like I said, 2000s had a lot of movies. Mm-hmm. And part two, I'm probably gonna try to jump into some of my more obscure likes and dislikes.
Mm-hmm. We have a pretty well-known Matrix clone-ish movie that we didn't touch on with Batman in it before he was Batman. So
and there's a couple more of the science fiction ones that we didn't touch on yet, because like I said, there was a lot of in all honesty, the 2000s were up and down. There's another George Lucas film that we gotta rip apart, but
another comic book movie with a hero from hell
that we gotta rip apart. Well, not that one. Well,
no, that was greatness.
Yeah, that was greatness. My bad. That one was greatness. But
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, right? So we're gonna hit that. We're gonna hit up a part two to this, because like I said, there was a lot of movies in the 2000s, and there was some real good stuff that came out, I think, toward the back half. Like the first half of the 2000s, we had Lord of the Rings, the Spider-Man movie. Well, the first two Spider-Man movies. We didn't go into Spider-Man 3 because I'm saving that one. But we had some good movies, and we had some in the middle of the road movies, and then
Spider-Man 2 was better than 1. So
yeah. So I mean, there was some good stuff in the beginning, but toward the end, I think was where stuff started getting a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Honestly, because then we started getting better. I don't want to say quality, but we started getting I'll say quality a little bit.
There was some more childhood ruining franchises stuff.
Yes,
going on along
with great action scenes. With great action scenes,
with giant, just say giant robots.
Yeah.
I'm just glad
they stopped. They stopped with the Voltron. Voltron and Thundercats was on the docket for 2000.
Oh, man.
I'm just glad they stopped that.
I'm glad that was stopped too. That's
in other words, Michael Bay, you're up. So we're coming at you in part two.
Oh boy.
Just know that you did two movies that we despise you for. So
can't forget about the great Uwe Boll masterpieces. He's got a few of them.
Yeah, it was a few.
In the 2000s. So
because we got to talk about those video game adaptations.
Oh, those video game adaptations.
Yeah. Capcom, just stick to CG with the Resident Evil franchise, please, from now on. And that pretty much does it for this fresh take. We look forward to seeing you on part two. Later, peeps.
Peace out.